back again, another video here. This is on our digging our potatoes. And as you can see, a lot of them have fallen over and kind of starting to die. Some of them have already died, and so it's definitely time to get these picked. Up there you can see all those bushes right there. That's actually the sweet potatoes. They filled out very well. And back over there, it's hard to see, but we have our pumpkins. We were gone for 6 days and we kind of had weeds take over, so we're in the process of cleaning. But this is our green beans. We just did our first picking, and I'll do a video on that later on how to can those. Got them all snapped last night. Okay, so Bowen here, one of my helpers.
Hi.
Toby, my other helpers. Bowen's gonna go ahead, and this first part here, you can see where the plants are. The potatoes should be around that area, and since we did them in hills, it'll make it a whole lot easier to get the potatoes out. First thing Bowen's gonna do is he's gonna rake this area free of grass and the potato plants. Just very, very carefully so he doesn't hurt the potatoes. And as you can see, there's already one popping up. So once you get that kind of cleaned off a little bit, and we don't want to move it too far because that grass is going to eventually get put back in, or tilled back in as fertilizer. Thank you, Assistant Bowen.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bowen, I'll have you take this. Down here. So, kind of want to stay back towards the base of the hill. You can use a spade, but the ground should be loose enough here. I don't need a spade. Work your way underneath it. And then flip it to get the potatoes. Okay, check the area around it also to make sure you didn't miss any. And some plants are going to have more, some are going to have less. Don't freak out if one's got 2 and one's got 10. That's just the way they are. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this back. Instead of using a rake this time, I can use my hands if I want, just to kind of move stuff around. Here's where the plant is. You can see the potato here. I'm going to go ahead and pull that plant. You'll have little hanger honors. Give that to Toby.
Potato
Plant out of the way. And then we can repeat. Kind of stay back. Go for underneath. And be careful not to get too close when you're doing this because you don't want to cut the potatoes. I kind of drop it to break it up. There's one. And then if you have big chunks, it's good to break it up. Number 1, see if there's potatoes in them, just in case. Number 2, so when you go to till it, it's easier. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and we'll do all these, and then we'll show you our product at the end. Before I get too much farther here in digging, all I did here was I pulled back the grass and the plant, and this is what you find. And this is kind of why we do it in hills and we cover them in grass. If we wouldn't have covered these in grass and they still planted, or even though we had them in hills and they still grew shallow like this, the sun would have started hitting them and they would start turning them bad already. But now it's covered in grass, then they're all still good and they're easy to get to. Obviously I'm still going to dig underneath them just to make sure I get them all, but that's one of the nice things about doing grass over top of your potatoes. Okay, so kind of hard to see. This one here, you can see right in this area here is a little bit green. That part was actually sticking just a hair above the grass, thinner grass in that area or something. And that's what it'll do if it gets the sun. That's what you want to try to keep away from. Potatoes are dug. Now you can kind of see we have rows of grass that get pushed aside all the way down. That will get spread back out here, and then I'll till it in, the grass into the ground for the next set of potatoes, for fall potatoes, so that it will help put nutrients into the ground. And back there you can see we got cucumbers crawling up the fence, and we got broccoli and cabbage that are kind of overgrown, but that's our potatoes, and I'll show you the end here, or the total here shortly. I did forget is, as we were going along digging and everything else, there was a plethora of insects. One of the big ones was spiders, which mostly wolf spiders. Now I know a lot of you guys are not huge fans of wolf spiders, or spiders in general, but I'll tell you what, if you got a garden full of them, you're gonna have very few bug problems. I haven't put anything on my garden really, and I've got a few holes in a few plants, but for the most part my garden's pretty clean on bugs, because between them and then the gardener snakes I put in and toads and everything else, they clean a lot of it up. So if you got them in there, like I said, I know if you're scared, if you're afraid of them or whatever, you don't like them, that's fine, but they are very good for your garden. Okay, and the potatoes are done. They're white and red, pretty close to the same volume, I guess. Not white's a little bit more, but we're letting them sit out here, and it'll just be for a few hours, and mainly that's to let some of this dirt dry on them. Now as you're taking them out of the ground, or as you're putting them up here, when the dirt's still a bit wet, if there's big clumps, get that off. But if it's little stuff, don't do it, because then you're going to tear some of the skin off, and that's what kind of protects it as you're storing it. So as you can see here, the red potatoes are on average a little smaller. There's a few bigger ones there, but on average a little smaller than the white. Those are really great for roast. These are good for baked potatoes. And so here after a few hours, let them dry. I gotta go pick some more green beans to can, but a few hours, let them dry, then they'll go down to the basement. And one thing when you're storing them, whether it's in a basement or a cellar, is of course even better because there's less light. You want to make sure that there's the least amount of light possible, because then your eyes aren't going to start growing in the winter, because then what that does when they grow in the winter, they basically take out all the potato inside slowly. And so one thing you want to do in the wintertime, especially if your potatoes are starting to grow and you can't keep it real dark, is go through occasionally and just break off all those eyes so it doesn't sap all the potato out of it. Of course, then when you get close to the next year of planting, you want to let them grow a little bit so you can plant them. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any comments or different ways you do this here, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.